25 reasons why being a Taurus is truly a blessing in 2026. There is a reason Taurus was not built to move quickly, and there is a reason 2026 will finally reveal why that matters. For years, Taurus has been described with simple words: stable, patient, loyal, stubborn. Words that sound calm, predictable, safe. But what if those words were only the surface? What if stability was never about comfort, but about endurance? What if patience was never about slowness, but about timing? What if loyalty was never weakness, but quiet power? As someone who has spent decades studying Taurus, not casually, not superficially, but deeply, I can tell you this. Taurus is one of the most misunderstood forces in the Zodiac, not because they are dramatic, not because they demand attention, but because they do not. Taurus does not rush to prove themselves. They do not chase validation. They do not collapse under pressure. And in a world that glorifies speed, noise, and reaction, Taurus stands still. That stillness is not laziness, it is strength under control. And in 2026, that strength becomes visible. This is not just another year. This is a year where consistency outperforms chaos, where memory outlasts impulse, where depth proves more powerful than display. If you are a Taurus watching this, I want you to listen carefully. You have often been told you are too slow, too cautious, too resistant to change, too guarded, too firm. But what if those exact traits are the reason you are built to survive what others cannot? In 2026, the world does not reward the loudest voice. It rewards the one who never moved. This video is not about flattery. It is not about shallow compliments. It is about revelation. We are going to explore 25 reasons why being a Taurus is truly a blessing, not just in general, but specifically in 2026. Not because Taurus is perfect, but because Taurus carries weight. Weight of responsibility, weight of loyalty, weight of memory, weight of love that does not fade easily. And here is what most people never understand. Taurus does not shine quickly. Taurus lasts. By the end of this video, you may see your own nature differently. You may understand why the traits you once questioned are the very traits that make you irreplaceable. So stay with me, because what looks like calm on the outside is often unbreakable strength on the inside. And 2026 is the year that strength stops being invisible. Reason 1, Taurus endures what others quietly avoid. One of the greatest blessings of being a Taurus in 2026 is something most people never notice. It is not your charm, it is not your calm voice, it is not even your loyalty. It is your endurance. Taurus has an almost ancient relationship with pressure. While others react quickly, speak quickly, move quickly, you absorb first. You take the weight into your body, into your thoughts, into your silence. You do not collapse at the first sign of discomfort. And in 2026, this changes everything. We are entering a period where instability feels normal. People are switching careers, switching relationships, switching identities. Trends rise and disappear in weeks. Opinions shift overnight. Loyalty feels negotiable. But Taurus does not negotiate with chaos. You do something very different. You stay. Not because you are afraid of change, but because you understand that not all storms deserve movement. Some storms deserve stillness. I have studied Taurus behavior patterns for decades. When others panic, Taurus observes. When others abandon projects midway, Taurus continues. When others look for the next emotional high, Taurus builds foundations. And that ability to endure not for days but for years is rare. It is easy to start something. It is hard to sustain it. Taurus sustains. This is why being a Taurus is truly a blessing in 2026. The world is tired of instability. People are quietly craving someone who does not fold under pressure. You may not always be the loudest in the room. You may not always be the fastest, but you are often the last one standing. And that matters more than people realize. There is something almost misunderstood about Taurus endurance. Some mistake it for stubbornness. Others call it resistance. A few may even say you are too slow to adapt. But they fail to see the deeper truth. You are not resisting change. You are evaluating it. Taurus does not move until movement makes sense. You do not rebuild your life based on temporary emotions. You do not rewrite your commitments because things feel uncomfortable for a moment. You wait, you measure, you decide. And when you decide, you do not look back. In 2026, impulsive decisions will cost people more than they expect. Emotional reactions will create consequences that linger. Those who move too quickly may find themselves rebuilding again and again. But Taurus rebuilds once, because Taurus builds slowly. This year rewards those who have quietly maintained discipline. It rewards those who did not give up when recognition was absent. It rewards those who did not quit when results were delayed. If you have ever felt unseen because you do not perform your strength loudly, understand something deeply. Quiet endurance is not weakness, it is mastery. The blessing of being a Taurus is that you do not burn out easily. You do not fall apart at the first obstacle. You do not abandon yourself when things become inconvenient. You hold the line. And in 2026, holding the line becomes power. There will be moments this year where others look at you and realize, sometimes with surprise, that you are still there. Still steady, still grounded, still committed. While they were fluctuating, you were stabilizing. And that difference becomes visible. You may not seek recognition, but endurance creates it naturally over time. Here is the deeper truth I want you to understand. Taurus was never built for short-term applause. Taurus was built for long-term impact. And that is why this trait, the ability to endure what others quietly avoid, is the first and most important reason being a Taurus is a blessing in 2026. Because when the noise settles, the one who remained becomes undeniable. Life lesson. Endurance is not about tolerating everything. It is about choosing what is worth staying for. There is a difference between suffering blindly and standing with purpose. In 2026, your strength is not measured by how much you carry, but by how consciously you choose to carry it. Comment if you've ever been the one who stayed when others walked away. Reason 2. Taurus remembers what truly matters. If endurance is the outer strength of Taurus, memory is the inner one. Because you do not endure randomly, you endure for something. There is something about Taurus that many people underestimate: your memory. Not just the ability to remember dates or details, not even the ability to recall who said what. It is your emotional memory. You remember how things felt. You remember who stood beside you. You remember who disappeared when it was inconvenient. You remember promises, especially the unspoken ones. And in 2026, this becomes a blessing. We live in a time where people move on quickly. Conversations are temporary. Commitments are flexible. Loyalty is often conditional. But Taurus does not operate that way. When something enters your life, a relationship, a goal, a value, you attach meaning to it. And once meaning is attached, it is not erased easily. This is why Taurus is often described as slow to forgive or hard to forget. But that description misses the deeper truth. You do not forget because you understand the weight of experience. You know that what happens between people shapes the future. You know that trust is not a casual exchange. You know that betrayal is not just a moment, it is a fracture in the foundation. In 2026, this selective memory becomes power. Why? Because the world is distracted. But Taurus is aware. You notice patterns. You observe consistency. You measure sincerity over time. And while others may give unlimited access to their energy, Taurus remembers who has earned it. That memory protects you. It keeps you from repeating the same emotional mistake. It prevents you from investing deeply in what has already proven unstable. It helps you build long-term alliances instead of short-term excitement. This is not bitterness. It is discernment. I have seen it again and again in Taurus individuals. When they withdraw, it is rarely impulsive. It is the result of accumulated observation. A series of small signals that others overlooked, but Taurus did not. You store information quietly, you analyze it slowly, and when you adjust your behavior, it is deliberate. In 2026, this protects you from chaos. There will be moments this year when others overextend themselves emotionally. They will trust too quickly, commit too soon, forgive too easily. Taurus will not. And that restraint will save you from unnecessary damage. But there is another side to this memory, one that is often overlooked. You do not only remember pain, you remember loyalty. You remember who showed up when it mattered. You remember who respected your boundaries. You remember who did not rush you. And once someone proves consistent, your loyalty becomes unwavering. Your memory does not just protect you, it deepens you. Because when Taurus loves, they love with awareness. Not illusion, not fantasy, but full awareness of who the other person truly is. And that makes your relationships rare. In 2026, depth outperforms speed. People will begin to crave relationships that feel anchored, stable, intentional. And Taurus provides exactly that because you build on memory, not impulse. You are not reactive. You are cumulative. You gather experiences. You draw conclusions slowly. You adjust only when the pattern is undeniable. And once you decide your decision is firm, that is why being a Taurus is truly a blessing in 2026. Because in a distracted world, your memory creates clarity. You know who deserves your energy. You know what deserves your effort. And you know when something has crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. That is not harshness. That is self-respect. And self-respect will define 2026. The world is learning that not everyone deserves unlimited access. Taurus already knew that. Life lesson. Remembering is not about holding grudges, it is about honoring your standards. Your memory is not a burden. It is a compass. Let it guide you toward what is consistent, not what is convenient. Comment if you believe loyalty should be remembered, not forgotten. And as we move forward, there is something even deeper than endurance and even more powerful than memory. Because Taurus does not just endure, and Taurus does not just remember. Taurus builds. Let's step into reason 3. Reason 3. Taurus builds what others only talk about. There is a difference between dreaming and building. Many people are inspired easily. They speak about vision, about ambition, about what they will create one day. But inspiration without structure fades. Taurus understands something essential. Nothing lasting is built quickly. While others chase momentum, Taurus lays foundations, quietly, methodically, without needing applause. This is one of the greatest blessings of being a Taurus in 2026. Because this year will test structures. Careers built on image will shake. Relationships built on intensity alone will struggle. Financial decisions made impulsively will reveal their fragility. But structures built slowly endure. Taurus is not impressed by quick results. You are impressed by consistency. You are not seduced by promises. You are convinced by patterns. And so when you build for permanence. You invest time. You invest patience. You invest discipline. That is why Taurus success often looks slow at first but becomes undeniable over time. In 2026, people will begin to recognize something powerful. Stability is rare. And Taurus is stable by nature. You do not abandon your path because someone else's looks exciting. You do not dismantle your life because you feel momentary doubt. You refine, you adjust, but you do not self-destruct. This year rewards refinement, not reinvention. And Taurus excels at refinement. You improve systems, you strengthen bonds, you reinforce commitments. While others rebuild from zero, you build upward. That is a blessing. Because growth without collapse is different from growth through chaos. Taurus grows without unnecessary collapse, and that makes your progress sustainable. Life lesson. Do not envy fast results. Value steady construction. Anything built slowly enough to understand its foundation will last longer than something built for applause. Comment if you believe slow growth is stronger growth. And yet, building requires something deeper than patience. It requires boundaries. because you cannot build something solid if everyone has unlimited access to it. Reason 4. Taurus protects what is sacred. Taurus does not let everyone inside. Some misunderstand this. They call it guarded, distant, resistant. But what they fail to see is this: you protect what you value. In 2026, this becomes critical. We are in an era where oversharing is normalized. Vulnerability is displayed publicly. Private matters become content. Taurus does not operate that way. You are selective, not because you lack emotion, but because your emotions are deep. You understand that access is a privilege, and once someone earns it, you are loyal beyond measure. But until then, you observe. You do not reveal everything. You do not expose your plans prematurely. You do not give full trust without evidence of character. This year, that discernment protects you. There will be situations in 2026 where transparency without caution creates vulnerability, where saying too much too soon creates imbalance. Taurus instinctively knows when to remain silent, and silence, when chosen deliberately, is power. You are not hiding, you are protecting. Protecting your peace, protecting your intentions, protecting your future. This is why being a Taurus is truly a blessing. Because while others exhaust themselves by overexposing their energy, you conserve yours. You invest in the right places, and what you protect grows stronger. Life lesson: not everyone deserves full access to your inner world. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. Comment if you believe privacy is power. But protection alone does not define Taurus. There is something even more misunderstood about you. Your pace. Reason 5. Taurus moves slowly, and that is their advantage. Speed is admired, but speed is not always strength. Taurus moves deliberately. You do not rush decisions. You do not jump into commitments without clarity. You do not react instantly to pressure. And in 2026, this restraint becomes strategic. This is a year of overreaction. Markets will fluctuate. Emotions will intensify. Social dynamics will shift quickly. Those who react instantly may regret it. Taurus pauses. You consider long-term consequences. You ask whether something aligns with your values. You measure sustainability. That pause creates power, because reaction is emotional. Response is controlled. Taurus responds. Your slowness is not hesitation. It is calculation. You understand that once you commit deeply. So you choose carefully. This protects your energy. It protects your time. It protects your heart. In relationships, this means you do not fall in love with illusion. In career, this means you do not abandon stability for excitement. In personal growth, this means and in 2026, intentional living becomes rare. You were built for intention. While others burn quickly and fade, you endure steadily and rise. Life lesson: moving slowly is not falling behind. It is choosing direction over speed. Comment if you prefer clarity over urgency. And finally, beneath endurance, memory, construction, protection, and pace, there is something that defines Taurus at the core. Your calm. Reason 6. Taurus brings calm into chaos. There is something about your presence that stabilizes a room. You may not speak first, you may not dominate conversation, but when tension rises, people look toward you. Why? Because you do not panic easily. Taurus energy is grounding. When others spiral emotionally, you remain composed. When conflict escalates, you slow it down. In 2026, emotional volatility increases, stress levels rise, uncertainty tests relationships, and calm becomes currency. Your ability to remain steady under pressure will attract trust. People will confide in you. They will seek your opinion. They will rely on your judgment, not because you are loud, but because you are stable. Calm is not passive. It is controlled strength. It takes discipline to remain composed when provoked. It takes maturity to respond instead of react. Taurus has that maturity. And that is why being a Taurus is truly a blessing this year. Because while others are shaken, you are steady. And steadiness builds leadership without demanding it. Life lesson: calm is not weakness. It is power under control. Comment if people often rely on you to stay calm in difficult situations. We have now uncovered endurance memory, building protection, pace, and calm. But there is a side of Taurus that very few truly understand, one that becomes especially powerful in 2026. And that is where we are heading next. Reason 7. Taurus does not break easily. Calm is visible, but resilience is tested in silence. There is something about Taurus that only becomes clear under pressure. You do not shatter at the first sign of disappointment. You do not collapse when something does not go your way. You absorb impact, not because you enjoy hardship, but because you are built with density. In 2026, many people will face moments that challenge their identity, unexpected shifts, broken expectations, delays that feel unfair. And here is what separates Taurus. You bend slowly, but you do not snap easily. You process privately. You retreat if necessary, but you do not announce your pain for sympathy. You rebuild internally before you re-emerge externally. That resilience is a blessing, because when the world becomes unpredictable, emotional fragility becomes costly. Taurus is not fragile. You have endured disappointment before. You have survived betrayal before. You have watched plans fail and still continued. That history makes you stronger. Resilience is not dramatic, it is repetitive, and Taurus repeats strength. In 2026, this quiet durability will create an invisible advantage. While others burn out, you regulate. While others retreat permanently, you recalibrate. You are not immune to pain. You are resistant to destruction. And there is a difference. Life lesson. Resilience is not pretending nothing hurts. It is knowing that pain does not define your direction. Comment if you have survived something that made you stronger. But resilience alone is not what makes Taurus irreplaceable. There is something even rarer about you. Your loyalty. Reason 8. Taurus loyalty is not casual, it is chosen. In a world where loyalty is often conditional, Taurus loyalty is deliberate. You do not trust easily. You do not give your heart recklessly. You do not form deep bonds without evidence of character. But once you choose someone, you stay. This is one of the most powerful blessings of being a Taurus in 2026, because this year will reveal who is consistent and who is temporary. Many connections will feel intense. Few will prove reliable. Taurus does not confuse intensity with commitment. You watch behavior over time. You measure actions, not promises. And when someone earns your trust, you become unwavering. That kind of loyalty is rare. It means showing up repeatedly. It means defending someone even when they are not present. It means staying when leaving would be easier. And here is what people often misunderstand. Taurus loyalty is not weakness. It is strength under vow. But loyalty has limits. If those limits are crossed repeatedly, Taurus does not argue loudly. Taurus withdraws completely. That withdrawal is final. In 2026, people will begin to understand that loyalty is a privilege, not a right. And Taurus already operates that way. Your loyalty makes you invaluable in relationships, in business, in friendships. Because once you commit deeply. Life lesson. Choose carefully who you stand beside, because loyalty multiplies the impact of both strength and weakness. Comment if loyalty is non-negotiable for you. Yet loyalty and resilience come from something deeper, a core that refuses to be manipulated. Reason 9. Taurus cannot be easily controlled. Taurus may appear calm, agreeable, steady, but beneath that steadiness is something immovable. You cannot be pressured into decisions that violate your values. You cannot be manipulated by urgency. You cannot be intimidated into abandoning your standards. In 2026, influence will be everywhere. Social pressure, emotional persuasion, sudden trends, external expectations. But Taurus has an internal compass. You listen, but you decide independently. You consider advice, but you filter it. You adapt, but you do not surrender your principles. This independence is not rebellion. It is alignment. You do not need constant approval to move forward. You do not need validation to feel secure in your path. That self-containment becomes power in 2026. Because people who are easily influenced will feel unstable. They will shift direction repeatedly, unsure of their center. Taurus has a center, and once you are grounded in a decision, outside noise becomes background. You do not move because others shout. You move when it makes sense. Life lesson. The strongest position you can hold is alignment with your own values. External pressure fades. Inner clarity remains. Comment if you refuse to compromise your standards for comfort. But perhaps the most misunderstood quality of Taurus is not your strength. It is your depth. Reason 10. Taurus feels deeply even when silent. There is a misconception about Taurus. Because you are calm, people assume you are emotionally simple. But the truth is very different. Taurus feels deeply, you just do not display everything. Your emotions are layered, slow to form, slow to dissolve. When you love completely. When you are disappointed, you feel it intensely. When you are hurt, it lingers not as drama, but as memory. In 2026, emotional depth becomes rare. Many people will skim the surface of experiences. Quick connections, fast exits, immediate gratification. Taurus does not skim, you immerse. That depth makes your relationships meaningful. It makes your commitments powerful. It makes your silence heavy with unspoken understanding. You may not say everything you feel, but you feel everything fully. And that depth creates authenticity. Because when you care, it is real. When you commit, it is intentional. When you withdraw, it is significant. This emotional gravity is a blessing. It means your connections are not replaceable. They are rooted. Life lesson. Depth is not loud. It is lasting. Comment if you feel more than you show. We have now uncovered resilience, loyalty, independence, and depth. But there is still something even more defining about Taurus, something that makes 2026 not just stable, but transformative for you. Let's continue. Reason 11. Taurus understands the power of timing. There is something almost ancient about the way Taurus moves. You do not rush opportunity. You do not force outcomes. You do not chase moments that are not ready. And in 2026, timing becomes everything. Many people confuse movement with progress. They believe acting quickly guarantees success. But speed without alignment often creates regret. Taurus waits, not passively, but strategically. You sense when something is premature. You feel when energy is unstable. You observe whether consistency is forming before you fully commit. That restraint is wisdom. In 2026, there will be moments where opportunities appear suddenly. Some will look tempting. Some will feel urgent. But not all urgency is destiny. Taurus understands this instinctively. You are patient with growth. You are patient with love. You are patient with results. And because you wait until timing aligns, your decisions tend to hold. This is why being a Taurus is truly a blessing in 2026. Because this year rewards those who do not move impulsively. While others leap and adjust later, you observe and move once. That difference will define outcomes. Life lesson. Right action at the wrong time creates chaos. Right action at the right time creates stability. Trust your pace. Comment if you've ever felt that waiting protected you. But timing alone does not create strength. It must be paired with discipline. Reason 12. Taurus is disciplined without needing applause. Discipline is rarely glamorous. It is waking up and doing what needs to be done when no one is watching. It is staying consistent when motivation fades. It is honoring commitments even when excitement disappears. Taurus does this naturally. You are not driven by short bursts of inspiration. You are driven by responsibility. And in 2026, discipline becomes currency. People will start strong and fade quickly. They will promise more than they sustain. They will chase goals until resistance appears. Taurus continues. You do not rely on emotional highs to move forward. You rely on routine, on structure, on self-respect. That self-regulation gives you quiet advantage. You do not need constant praise to keep building. You do not need external validation to continue effort. You value stability more than recognition. And over time, discipline compounds. Small, consistent actions create large, irreversible outcomes. In 2026, that compounding effect begins to show. While others look for shortcuts, you maintain structure. And structure outlasts excitement. Life lesson: consistency creates confidence. Not because it is flashy, but because it is reliable. Comment if you value discipline over motivation. Yet discipline and timing would mean little without something deeper. Self-worth. Reason 13. Taurus knows their value, even if they do not announce it. Taurus rarely boasts. You do not need to declare your strength repeatedly. You do not seek constant reassurance. But make no mistake, you know your worth. And in 2026, this becomes critical. There will be environments this year that test boundaries. Situations where people ask for more than they give. Relationships where expectations are uneven. Taurus may tolerate inconvenience, but you do not tolerate disrespect. When your value is compromised repeatedly, you adjust quietly. You distance calmly. You withdraw without spectacle. And once you decide something is beneath your standard, you do not negotiate downward. This internal valuation protects you. It prevents you from staying in spaces that diminish you. It keeps you from chasing approval. It ensures that when you commit, it is mutual. You do not need to prove your worth constantly because you live in alignment with it. And in 2026, self-worth becomes the dividing line between exhaustion and empowerment. Those who undervalue themselves will overextend. Those who recognize their value will conserve. Taurus conserves. Life lesson. Knowing your value does not require announcing it. It requires living in accordance with it. Comment if you would rather walk away than lower your standards. But self-worth is only part of the picture. There is another blessing of being a Taurus in 2026, one that is often invisible but incredibly powerful. Your ability to create security. Reason 14. Taurus creates safety wherever they stand. Some people create excitement. Taurus creates safety. When others enter a space filled with uncertainty, they look for someone steady, someone grounded, someone who does not escalate tension. That is often you. You may not realize it, but people regulate their emotions around your presence. Your stability lowers anxiety. Your predictability reduces fear. In 2026, uncertainty increases. Economic shifts, emotional volatility, unexpected changes in plans. In such environments, safety becomes priceless. Taurus provides it naturally. You honor commitments. You maintain structure. You create consistency. You do not threaten stability unnecessarily. And because of that, others trust you with responsibilities, with secrets, with leadership. Not because you demand authority, but because you embody reliability. This is one of the deepest reasons being a Taurus is truly a blessing in 2026. Because safety will be rare, and you provide it without trying. Life lesson. Security is not built through control. It is built through consistency. Comment if people often feel calmer around you. We have now explored timing, discipline, self-worth, and safety, but there is still something essential we have not yet touched, something that explains why Taurus does not burn out easily. And that is your relationship with desire. Reason 15. Taurus understands desire and does not let it control them. Desire is powerful. It drives ambition. It fuels attraction. It pushes people toward goals, relationships, experiences. But uncontrolled desire creates chaos. Taurus has a unique relationship with desire. You feel it strongly, but you do not chase it blindly. That is rare. In 2026, desire will be amplified everywhere. Social comparison will intensify. People will want faster success, stronger validation, instant recognition. Emotional impulses will rise quickly. Many will move based on craving rather than clarity. Taurus pauses. You ask, is this sustainable? Is this aligned? Is this worth my energy long term? You are not immune to temptation, but you evaluate before you commit. This creates stability. You enjoy comfort, beauty, pleasure, but you do not sacrifice your structure for temporary satisfaction. That balance is a blessing, because many people in 2026 will overextend themselves chasing excitement. They will exhaust their energy seeking validation. Taurus preserves energy. You know that real fulfillment is built slowly, not consumed instantly. And because of that, your path is less dramatic, but more durable. Life lesson: desire should be directed, not obeyed. Control your impulses and your future becomes stable. Comment if you prefer long-term fulfillment over short-term excitement. But desire is only part of it. What truly separates Taurus in 2026 is not just restraint, it is endurance through delayed reward. Reason 16. Taurus can wait longer than most, and that changes outcomes. Many people start strong, few finish strong. Taurus has a tolerance for delayed results that others struggle to maintain. You can work without immediate praise. You can invest without instant return. You can love without constant reassurance. That patience is not passive. It is strategic endurance. In 2026, quick results will tempt many into unstable decisions. People will want immediate confirmation that their choices are correct. Taurus understands something deeper. Time reveals truth. You are willing to let situations unfold. You are willing to observe whether effort compounds. You are willing to give something enough space to prove itself. This prevents regret, because once you commit fully, you rarely need to reverse course. That steadiness creates credibility. In business, it builds trust. In relationships, it builds depth. In personal growth, it builds mastery. While others burn bright and fade, Taurus builds quietly and sustains. And sustainability is power. Life lesson: the ability to wait without losing faith is strength. Patience filters illusion from reality. Comment if you believe patience has protected you before, but endurance and patience would mean little without something even deeper. Your sense of permanence. Reason 17. Taurus values what lasts, not what impresses. In a world obsessed with visibility, Taurus values longevity. You are not easily impressed by surface success. You look for durability, for proof of consistency, for evidence that something can withstand time. This mindset shapes your decisions in 2026. You will not be easily persuaded by hype. You will not restructure your life for applause. You will not chase opportunities that feel unstable. You look for permanence, and permanence requires effort. Taurus understands that anything worth keeping requires maintenance. Relationships must be nurtured. Careers must be strengthened. Values must be protected. That commitment to maintenance is a blessing. Because in 2026, many will focus on expansion without foundation. They will grow quickly, but without reinforcement. Taurus reinforces. You secure before you expand. You stabilize before you elevate. And that order creates durability. Durability creates authority. Authority attracts respect. Not because you demand it, but because you embody it. Life lesson: choose what lasts over what dazzles. Longevity outlives admiration. Comment if you value permanence more than popularity. But there is something even more profound about Taurus, something that explains why, despite being calm and steady, you are not weak. You are powerful. And we are about to enter that layer. Reason 18. Taurus holds quiet power. Power does not always announce itself. Sometimes it sits still. Sometimes it speaks softly. Sometimes it does not speak at all. Taurus power is not explosive. It is controlled. And that makes it dangerous in the best possible way. In 2026, there will be displays of loud dominance, people asserting authority, people demanding attention, people attempting to influence through force. But Taurus influence works differently. You do not overpower, you outlast. There is a reason people hesitate before crossing a Taurus boundary. It is not because you shout. It is because when you decide something is over, it is over. Your calm does not mean you tolerate everything. Your silence does not mean you agree. Your patience does not mean you are unaware. When Taurus withdraws energy, it is deliberate. When Taurus draws a line, it is permanent. And that controlled intensity creates respect. In 2026, emotional volatility will expose unstable personalities. People who cannot regulate themselves will lose credibility. Taurus regulates. You choose when to speak. You choose when to act. You choose when to disengage. That self-command is power, not the power of intimidation, the power of self-mastery. Life lesson: true power is not about controlling others. It is about controlling yourself. Comment if you believe calm strength is stronger than loud dominance. But power without integrity becomes manipulation. Taurus power is anchored in something deeper. Integrity. Reason 19. Taurus stands by their principles even when it costs them. Integrity is easy when convenient. It becomes rare when tested. Taurus does not change values based on pressure. You may adapt strategies. You may adjust approach. But your core remains steady. In 2026, there will be moments where compromising principles appears beneficial. Shortcuts will look attractive. Silence may seem easier than confrontation, but Taurus feels misalignment internally. When something violates your values, your body reacts before your words do. That internal signal protects you. You would rather lose an opportunity than betray your own standards. You would rather step away than pretend something is acceptable when it is not. That may appear stubborn to some, but it creates self-trust. And self-trust is one of the greatest blessings you can carry into 2026. Because when external environments become unstable, your internal code remains fixed. That stability prevents identity erosion. You know who you are. You know what you stand for. And that clarity eliminates confusion. While others question themselves repeatedly, Taurus stands firm. Life lesson: losing something is painful. Losing yourself is worse. Protect your principles. Comment if you would rather stand alone than betray your values. But principles and power are not the final layer. There is something even more defining about Taurus: your capacity for transformation without drama. Reason 20. Taurus evolves slowly but irreversibly. People often assume Taurus resists change. The truth is more complex. You do not resist change. You resist chaos. When Taurus changes, it is not impulsive. It is cumulative. It happens after reflection, after observation, after internal confirmation. And once you change, you do not revert easily. In 2026, many will attempt quick reinventions, new identities, new directions, new commitments. Some will abandon them just as quickly. Taurus evolves differently. You shift when your foundation is ready to support the shift. You leave when you have fully detached. You upgrade when you are certain growth is stable. That makes your transformation slower but permanent. And permanence is power. Because when Taurus steps into a new level, it is earned, it is reinforced, it is sustained. You do not oscillate between versions of yourself. You integrate growth. That integration makes you reliable. It makes your progress visible over time. It makes your success difficult to reverse. Life lesson: real change does not require drama. It requires depth. Evolve at your pace, but evolve completely. Comment if when you change, you never go back to who you were before. We have now uncovered endurance memory, building boundaries, patience, calm, resilience, loyalty, independence, depth, timing, discipline, self-worth, safety, desire, delayed reward, permanence, quiet, power, integrity, and irreversible evolution. But we are approaching something even more defining, because being a Taurus in 2026 is not just about surviving, it is about becoming undeniable. And that is where we are heading next. Reason 21. Taurus does not need to compete, they become the standard. Competition is loud. It demands comparison. It demands urgency. It demands constant proving. Taurus does not operate that way. You do not measure your worth by who is ahead of you. You do not rush your process because someone else appears to be moving faster. And in 2026, this mindset becomes revolutionary. Because this will be a year of comparison. Social visibility will intensify. Achievements will be displayed constantly. Pressure to keep up will rise. Many will exhaust themselves trying to outperform others. Taurus does something different. You focus on alignment. You refine your craft. You strengthen your structure. You improve quietly. And over time, without announcing it, you become the reference point. People begin to compare themselves to you, not the other way around. That is what happens when consistency compounds. When you are not distracted by competition, you channel all energy into construction, and construction creates credibility. In 2026, credibility will matter more than performance. And Taurus naturally builds credibility. You do not chase status, you build substance. And substance outlasts trend. Life lesson. When you stop competing, you start solidifying. Become so grounded in your own path that comparison loses power. Comment if you prefer mastery over competition, but becoming the standard requires something even deeper. The ability to withstand solitude. Reason 22. Taurus is comfortable standing alone. There are moments in life when alignment requires distance. Distance from unstable environments. Distance from people who do not respect boundaries. Distance from noise. Taurus does not fear solitude. You may not seek isolation, but you do not panic when alone. In 2026, this will protect you. There will be situations where group dynamics become unstable, where collective pressure pushes people toward decisions that feel misaligned. Taurus can step back. You are not dependent on constant external approval. You are not afraid of temporary loneliness if it preserves long-term integrity. That independence creates strength, because many people compromise values simply to avoid standing alone. Taurus does not. You would rather walk your path steadily than follow one that feels wrong. And over time, that courage attracts the right connections. Solitude is not rejection, it is filtration. In 2026, those who cannot tolerate being alone may attach themselves to unstable foundations. Taurus waits, and waiting brings alignment. Life lesson. If standing alone protects your peace, stand alone. Temporary solitude is better than permanent misalignment. Comment if you have ever chosen peace over approval. But solitude and standards are not the final layer. There is something even more defining about Taurus in 2026. You do not panic when things slow down. Reason 23. Taurus thrives in slow seasons. Many people equate speed with success. When momentum slows, they feel anxious. When growth is gradual, they assume failure. Taurus understands something different. Slow seasons are strengthening seasons. When external noise quiets, you stabilize internally. When progress seems subtle, you refine details. When movement feels limited, you fortify foundation. In 2026, there will be periods that feel slower than expected. Others may interpret that as stagnation. Taurus interprets it as preparation, because you know that anything built under pressure without reinforcement collapses. Slow growth allows reinforcement. You do not rush expansion without structure. You use slow periods to build resilience, discipline, and clarity. And when acceleration returns, you are ready. That readiness is a blessing, because while others panic in stillness, you prepare in it. Life lesson. Not every quiet season is a setback. Some are strengthening you for stability. Comment if you've ever grown the most during a slow period. But thriving in slow seasons leads to something even more powerful. Recognition, not sudden applause. Earned recognition. Reason 24. Taurus earns respect over time. Respect that is given quickly can be withdrawn quickly. Respect that is earned slowly becomes permanent. Taurus earns respect through repetition, through showing up, through keeping promises, through maintaining standards, through staying when things are difficult. In 2026, superficial impressions will fade faster than ever. People will begin to see who is consistent and who is performative. Taurus does not perform reliability. You live it, and that consistency creates reputation. You may not notice it immediately, but people observe, they remember, they measure your patterns. And when trust is required, your name surfaces. That is not luck. It is accumulation. In 2026, accumulated credibility becomes influence. Without demanding it, you will be trusted more, relied on more, considered more, because you have proven stability repeatedly. Life lesson: respect cannot be forced. It is earned through sustained behavior. Comment if you believe reputation is built, not claimed. And now we arrive at the final layer, the reason that ties all others together: endurance, memory, boundaries, patience, discipline, power, integrity. They all lead here. Reason 25. Taurus was built to last. This is the core blessing. Not speed, not applause, not constant excitement. Longevity. Taurus was not designed for temporary impact. You were designed for permanence. In 2026, this truth becomes undeniable. Trends will shift, alliances will change, plans will evolve, but the ones who remain steady will lead quietly. You do not need to dominate to endure. You do not need to announce to influence. You do not need to rush to succeed, because lasting impact is different from immediate recognition. And Taurus carries lasting impact. You absorb lessons slowly. You integrate growth fully. You commit deeply. And once rooted, you are difficult to remove. That is not stubbornness. That is structure. In a world that burns fast, Taurus endures long, and endurance outlives noise. That is why being a Taurus is truly a blessing in 2026. Because this year does not belong to the loudest. It belongs to the most grounded. Life lesson: if you are built to last, do not envy those built to flash. Time favors structure. Comment if you believe longevity matters more than visibility. Conclusion: the blessing you didn't realize you were carrying. If you've stayed with me this far, then you already understand something most people miss. Being a Taurus is not a blessing because life is easy for you. It is a blessing because you are not easily shaken. In 2026, the world will continue to move fast, faster than comfort, faster than clarity, faster than stability. And yet speed does not guarantee strength. Noise does not guarantee influence. Visibility does not guarantee permanence. Taurus was never built for temporary impact. You were built for endurance. Everything we've explored, your patience, your boundaries, your discipline, your memory, your quiet power, your loyalty, your ability to wait, your refusal to compete blindly, they all point to one truth. You are structured. Structured internally, structured emotionally, structured ethically, and structure survives turbulence. There will be moments in 2026 where others question their direction, where they second-guess decisions made impulsively, where they feel the consequences of rushing, oversharing, overcommitting, and you will be standing, not because you were lucky, but because you were steady. Taurus does not chase constant reinvention. You refine, you reinforce, you evolve slowly, but irreversibly. And that kind of evolution cannot be undone by temporary chaos. If you have ever felt overlooked because you are not dramatic enough, if you have ever felt underestimated because you move slowly, if you have ever been misunderstood because you protect your energy, understand this clearly. You were never built to impress quickly. You were built to remain. In a culture that rewards urgency, you embody timing. In a culture that rewards exposure, you embody discretion. In a culture that rewards reaction, you embody control. That is not ordinary. That is rare. And rarity becomes valuable in 2026. This year is not about who starts the fastest. It is about who sustains the longest. It is not about who shouts the loudest. It is about who holds their ground. And Taurus holds ground better than almost anyone. The blessing of being a Taurus is not comfort. It is durability. And durability wins over time. So as 2026 unfolds, do not doubt your pace. Do not doubt your caution. Do not doubt your standards. Do not doubt your calm. The world may move around you, but the one who does not collapse becomes the anchor. And anchors are not flashy. They are necessary. If this resonated with you, leave a comment below. I read them and I value them. And if you are ready to explore Taurus at an even deeper level this year, subscribe, because 2026 is only beginning, and you were built for it. If you've made it this far, then you already know this isn't surface astrology. This is depth. This is structure. This is understanding Taurus beyond the stereotypes. And 2026 is not a small year. There are layers we haven't even uncovered yet about your timing, your power, your money patterns, your emotional cycles, and the quiet shift that is building behind the scenes. If you are a Taurus, or if you love one this year, deserves attention. So subscribe, not for noise, not for daily hype, but for grounded insight. Because while others chase trends, we study patterns. And Taurus is not a trend. It is a force that unfolds slowly. If this resonated with you, subscribe and stay connected. 2026 is not about rushing. It's about building something that lasts. And we're just getting started.